Hello, everyone. Hello, WikiTree. How is everyone doing this evening, morning, wherever you are? Don't know what time it is. How is everyone doing? We have a full house here again.
Yeah, I know, it's awesome.
So I guess we already have some people watching and a whole bunch of people in the comments. We'll introduce everybody. If you don't know, my name is Sarah. Then we have Awen and Julie. We're all WikiTree team members. We have Mindy, at the bottom there. She is the WikiTree Challenge coordinator. Then we have the other Sarah Mason. She's one of the captains, actually for Johnny's week. We have Azure, who is the captain for CeCe's week that we're ending. And then we have Jonny, which we will properly introduce him a little later, but we're going to be starting his week this evening. And then we have CeCe, where Rika's ending.
And Nikki, my son Nikki.
And then her son. What's your name? Tell everybody.
Nicholas, either.
Nicholas? Okay. So we have a full house. And so just so everyone is aware, the WikiTree Challenge, what is the WikiTree Challenge? It is our year-long event where each week we take on a different genealogy guest star's tree. So for example, CeCe's or AJ's, or this coming week, Jonny. And we make it more accurate than anywhere else. The challenge is part of our year of accuracy, and our goal is to improve WikiTree and make new friends. And we also have a point system because each week has a team. Mindy, do you want to kind of talk about how we get the points and how that works?
Yes, we have our regular points, which are adding profiles. So we start out with a basic just up to the great-grandparents on WikiTree, unless somebody's put more on there already. And then our WikiTree members all get together and they add as many profiles as they can. With sources, they're proven. So they get points for that. And then the big points come for breaking down brick walls. And we love breaking down those brick walls.
Those are our bounty points, right? Bounty points?
Yes, bounty points.
How exciting. And we have I guess we'll kind of greet everyone in the chat. We have a bunch of people in the chat. We have Benjamin, we have June, Chris, F, Greg.
Our cousin Darcy's on. Hi, Darcy. Annapurna Darcy Delisle.
Hello.
Hillary, we have Hillary. Hillary's on the same side of the world as you, Jonny. We have Emma. Nanette. Emily, Flo, Karen Lowe. Karen's been working hard on CeCe's tree. Hi, Alesh. Alesh is to thank for our wonderful point system and everything, all that back working stuff. Tommy, Richard, Steven. Hello, Chris, our WikiTree in chief, Chris. Hello. We have Linda, Robert. So many people watching. Bob.
Wonderful.
Hey. And Karen Mason, is that related to you, Sarah Mason? Or maybe not related at all? Not related at all?
Masons are everywhere.
Masons are everywhere. That's true. It is a common last name. And then Juha is here as well. We have a lot to thank for Juha. Okay, so I guess we can. So if anybody has any questions or comments as we're live casting, put them in the chat, and we'll ask them to whoever it is appropriate. So I guess we can start kind of going over CeCe's, what we have found. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
I have a whole bunch of stuff set up, hopefully.
Well, I should tell you guys, it's been a crazy week for our family. My aunt had a baby stolen at birth in 1950 that we've been looking for 70 years. I've been looking for 20 years. And it's been very convoluted, but we got a DNA match to that baby's grandson.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, we have a new family, well, lots of new family members. And then we lost my oldest first cousin, Janae, late last night, or actually early this morning. Right. So
Last babies.
What a roller coaster week.
yeah, it's been a really roller coaster week. So it's a good week for family information.
Definitely.
And I looked through our mama's tree for like 5 hours last night, so I'm happy.
That's fun. So before we start, we wanted to show the before trees that were on WikiTree that we had. So I kind of screenshotted this from the LiveCast because I didn't properly do it before. So it looks kind of blurry, but it kind of gives an idea what we had before. And then we also have this fan chart of the before. Thanks to Greg's fantastic fan chart app. So this was the before, and we'll show the after later after we kind of talk about what we found. So Azure, do you want to kind of take over from here what we have discovered? We have from each of their great grandparents. Azure, you're still muted, Azure.
Sorry about that. Nobody can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, so we found a lot of relatives for you, and the WikiTreeers reported in some really interesting finds. So the first one I was going to show, or Sarah can show for you, is Sylvanus Cornell.
So we're gonna do Sylvanus Cornell, right?
Yes.
Yeah, a Revolutionary War patriot. So if you can look at his profile there, you can see we've got him all set up with that information.
Oh, cool. So for everyone listening, this is my dad's side.
Yeah.
The Moore line goes back to the Cornells.
Yeah.
Your fifth great grandfather.
There you go.
Wait, that Cornell was his fifth great grandfather?
Remember Henry Cornell married
Yes.
Sarah Cornell? Yeah, that's her father.
Oh, did we not have that?
We had it, but we didn't have all this information on his Revolutionary War service.
Also a ton of DNA connections on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I know. Look at it. A lot of relatives
that's
here.
neat. Oh yeah, that's really neat.
You have hardly any ancestors that fought in like the Civil War or anything.
Yeah, it's really odd. We have very few military war veteran ancestors. Nobody fought in the Second World War or the First World War. I think you have to go all the way back to the Civil War, and those are only recently discovered ancestors.
Like Jenny Cole's father?
Yeah. So that's neat for us.
Yeah, so that was the next profile, is Andrew Bell's.
Right, which is a new ancestor for us.
Andrew Samuel.
Through DNA.
And his father was Bellows, right?
Do you have Andrew? It's
Andrew Bells. Yes. So the father of Janine Cole, who we were talking about last.
And we do have a name for his father on his death certificate. It's showing as Andrew.
Great.
Oh.
Thank you for that. So for anyone who has maybe read any of my blogs or seen a presentation that included Jenny, we've never known who her biological father was. She was born out of wedlock. And I was able to identify him through DNA, but this is the first time that this has ever been publicly revealed. I never added it to my public tree previously. So thank you for researching him.
As you can see, their jawline are very alike.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. Thank you for adding to him.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, they got some. He was in the Civil War. It looks like.
And there's a book that he has some information about him, and so that's on there as well.
Is it this one, the History of Tuscaloosa?
Yeah.
Tuscola in Bay Counties, Michigan.
Oh, that's really neat. And it's actually very serendipitous because my dad's Moors also lived there at the same time, but there are two different branches of my family tree. So it has to be a coincidence. It can't be, that's how they met or anything. So when I realized that's where he moved, I was very surprised.
Okay, so the next one we want to look at is Joseph Chitz. And Sarah, that's Chitz 41. And this takes us down.
Is that still on the paternal grandfather side?
That's
That's my dad's mom's side. My dad's mom's dad.
so Fred's wife Wanda.
Dad's mom's dad's. Okay,
There's
Chitz.
floor chits on
There we go.
father's mother's floor chits.
So it's Chitz 41.
Is it
It's
Richard Chitz?
Flora Chitz's
Flora Chitz. Oh, we're talking
It's
about
her-
Flora.
nephew.
Okay.
So we go to her brother William.
Mm-hmm.
William. Her brother.
Yep. And then his son, Joseph.
Oh man.
So this gentleman was in the Grenadier Guards. So you're some interesting information there for you.
I don't know much about that, so we'll have to read up on it.
Yeah,
He shows
served in
he
Egypt.
served in Egypt, where he received a medal.
Wow. That's unusual, especially for my family that, as we mentioned, we haven't found a lot of military service. My dad was in the Navy, but we have not found much in our family line in that regard. So this is interesting.
Yeah, in England. So yeah.
And then we have William Gabb.
Oh yeah, have him open.
Oh, cool. I love all the DNA connections on the side. That is really awesome.
Yeah. So William Gabb is known, is from Berkeley, Gloucestershire. I think that's how you pronounce that.
Gloucestershire. I don't know.
I think it's like Gloucestershire, but I am definitely not the one too.
I kind of associate it with Worcestershire sauce, so it kind of be pronounced like that.
Me
Maybe.
We're probably killing Johnny here 'cause he's in England.
I'm enjoying it.
So Ian Speed wrote in that he's from the birthplace of the physician Edward Jenner, the inventor of the first vaccine of smallpox vaccine. But it was a little bit too late for your 8th great uncle who died of smallpox there. So just some
really?
information.
So that's her 8th great uncle, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have the Gabbs on our tree at all. So how do we get to William Gabb?
So he is, let's see, he is
no.
Gabb 116.
Yeah, so but how CeCe is related to him, it doesn't have a quick link for me.
Okay.
But
is it through the Chits or is it through the Allens?
If you go to relationship to me on his profile and then just put in her profile
I guess
ID,
that'll work. Relationship to me.
that's how I've been doing it.
What is the
18062.
So Moore, Allen, Trotman, Gabb.
Okay. So through Allen.
Mhm.
So George Henry Allen, George Allen, Angelina Trotman, Louis Trotman. Okay, great. Thank you for extending that branch.
And they did a
then
lot.
Juha has been really hard at work on your finish lines.
Oh, good. So we're going to switch
And
to my
you are now connected 13 degrees to the former First Lady of Finland, Esther.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
However you pronounce that.
Now, her last names look Swedish. Stolberg and Hallström?
Yeah, so she married, that's her second. Stolberg is her second marriage. Her first husband was Hallström.
Oh, I see. And her main name's Elving?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great picture.
Yeah, so yeah, this is you said 13 degrees away, right?
Yeah.
It's 13 degrees. So.
Was there
So if you do the
relationship
finder with her, it'll show.
What is the? It's. You're gonna have to tell me again more. There it is. Popped up. Beautiful.
And then you have to do the connection finder little. Yeah.
So.
Oh wow.
I can't even pronounce any of those.
Through my grandmother's fathers. Yeah. Wow. That's complicated.
Okay, so yeah, So it's from Hallstrom. So she married into the Hallstrom family.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Just a quick question. How do I respond to comments along the side? I don't see a place for me to.
You can't, unfortunately. But we can ask them, and you can just say them out loud as well if you want.
There was something about our in-law Brumsby, and I just wanted to say, yeah, we were aware of the Brumsby family in Australia. So if this person's connected, hello, cousin, and someone shares DNA with us on my dad's side, hello, George. Was there anything else? Oh, the brother-in-law was Livingston Brumby, and I remember that name. So we definitely were aware of them. My paternal grandmother used to send letters back to Australia a lot and was in touch with those cousins. But we've since, lost a lot of those relationships, unfortunately, as people passed. All right. Okay. I think that's all.
Okay. And then I just wanted to share sorry. Just wanted to share Alberta wants to be CeCe when she grows up.
My son is my little genealogy buddy. Fortunately, he's interested in genealogy. And when we go on trips, we visit lots and lots of cemeteries. And Leonard has been very patient with us and driven us around for days on end looking at grave sites. And my son actually enjoys that, believe it or not.
Really far up. It was like through Jenny, but it was like
we've had to traipse through some kind of crazy snow and muddy fields and things,
and
so
ask people to go into their backyards because there's graves there.
So I'm lucky I have a child who's interested in all this.
Yeah, that's really neat.
There's one where the snow was like 6 feet high, and we were looking because they were a really important ancestor, and I had a feeling that one is it, and we ran to it and it was the right one.
Yeah, he's got a sixth sense about it.
That's cool. So the last one I wanted to share is Clinton Armstrong. Have you heard about him? He died at 16 years old. Are they related
to Mary Armstrong?
Clinton Armstrong?
It's
Armstrong 187.
Oh, there you just showed Ani. It's her birthday tomorrow.
It is?
Yeah. January 21st, 1912. She lived to be 96.
Nice.
Yeah. And
what was it? What was Azure Armstrong 18718?
Mary Armstrong married Calvin.
Oh no, that didn't. Did I spell something?
You're missing me out.
Here, I'll put it in the.
I thought it was more. And I saw everybody in the chat. Everybody was very sad at how I was pronouncing all of the England words.
There you go, Sarah.
Yeah. Kudos to you for trying, Sarah.
I always attempt.
You always attempt. You're very brave.
I always attempt. Okay. This one, do it, Clinton Armstrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How's she related to Mary Armstrong?
Let's see.
So if you just click that little button, it'll take you to your relationship.
Okay. So Mary is the daughter of Thomas. So this is her brother? I mean, yeah, is this Mary's brother? Mary Armstrong?
This is Mary's the daughter of Thomas Armstrong.
Oh, okay. So she's the first cousin. Okay. All right. So he died at 16
and saved the life. He died saving the life of his employee during an industrial accident. So it's just kind of interesting information there.
What?
Cool.
He died saving someone's life. Did you say during an industrial accident?
Yeah.
Wasn't only Industrial Revolution, I think.
Yeah, so it's
That's sad.
Yeah.
the steam press when they were moving it from the first to the second floor.
He was almost 17.
Wow.
His poor
Oh.
parents.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to show, Azure?
That was it. Those were the highlights.
The highlight.
We wanted to talk about how she's related to different WikiTree people in here in the Gabb.
Yeah, we figured out how all of us are connected to you, CeCe.
So who's closest?
So Chris Whitten is the closest to you at 10 cousins.
Wow, I'm surprised no one closer.
All right, well, at least between us, and
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has.
So
else.
Mindy and I are your 10th cousins once removed. And Eowyn and you are 11th cousins twice removed.
Wow.
Sweet.
And
Did anyone notice my parents were 9th cousins once removed through the Tylers?
I was trying to do that, but your mom's is at the privacy is set to unlisted, so I can't do some of the.
Oh.
Some of our toys don't work if the privacy's too
Yeah.
high.
Oh, I don't know how to set all that. But yeah, they were so upset when I told them they were 9th cousins once removed, which is hilarious.
It happens.
So you're even more. So when the first image we saw shows that you were only connected a couple places on the tree, but now you are connected a lot.
Emerald.
So you want to share the?
So we got a lot of charts for you. We did a lot of
Okay.
charts.
Oh, that's pretty.
This is Greg's fan chart. We have some people were requesting we show this. So if you want to see like the before chart, and then we have the after chart. So we've definitely added a lot.
Right. A lot.
And show the 11 gen.
And this is the 9 generation chart.
Ooh, that's pretty.
And then the 11 generation chart.
And CeCe, Azure has these for you, so you and Nikki can go ahead and look at them, and trace those branches out and see where people are.
Okay. All right. So are those on the site?
Yeah, if you go to your profile
Mm-hmm.
and then click on Family Tree and Tools,
Mm-hmm.
there's a whole bunch of widgets and tools
Yeah,
down
okay.
there.
The fan chart. So this is like Greg, he's actually in the chat now. He created this fan chart and you can customize it a whole bunch of different ways. And that makes it into this, or however many generations out you want to go.
That's super cool. Thank you. Well, thank you all so much for working so hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
We greatly appreciate it. And as I told you last time we met a week ago, I felt guilty that my research wasn't on there and my family wasn't on WikiTree. So now I don't have to feel badly about that anymore.
Don't feel bad.
Don't
Now
do
it's
that at
there.
all.
Thanks to all of you.
Yeah, so Mindy, we want to talk about, I guess, because it was a challenge, so we had a whole bunch of people accumulating points, and we added a whole bunch of profiles, so we have our stats page.
I know, which is amazing. And my numbers are only at, they were taken at 5:30. We were slowing down there, but they were still going up. We had 11 WikiTree members that earned the precious bounty points out of the 60 people that contributed to the tree. Now, there were a few more than 60 because some of them weren't signed up and they helped anyways. They got excited.
Well,
Our
thanks
top
to
5
everybody.
bounty point earners were our most valuable player, Juha Swanee. He was just rocking it. And then we had Chris Ferriello, Maddie Hardman, Max Martin, and Joan Whitaker. Way to go, guys. You rocked it. We had a total of 754 points earned by 5:30. 1,192 ancestors were edited with a total of 4,598 edits done during the week. I mean, that's one week.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It really shows the power of the collaboration on WikiTree. Everybody got in there, worked together and rocked it. And then I just wanted to give a little shout out to Greg Clark, of course, for his fabulous fan charts, and also to Kay Knight for her BioCheck app, which is just a really awesome tool to get out there and look for things, profiles you need to work on. It lets us know if somebody doesn't have sources, if the biography needs to be fixed a little bit. They were great.
It looks like we need a shout out for Marta also, someone says. Was Marta working on our Norwegian?
Marta, that's what Karen says on the...
Okay, thank you, Marta. Well, thank you all so much. We feel so fortunate to have someone work on our tree, because as I said last time, never have time to do it myself. Nicholas is often upset with me that I don't spend much time on our tree anymore. So we couldn't be more appreciative to you all for doing it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just so we know, 384 profiles were created for your tree. And I think it spanned out one, so the direct ancestors and then like siblings and stuff. So they created 384 profiles for you on WikiTree. So
wow.
Yeah.
Big applause. Thank you, everybody. Whether you were signed up or not signed up, we greatly appreciate your help on this.
So CeCe
should grow.
So what do you think? How did we do? Do you what I guess grade us, or do you have any comments?
I mean, I think we have to go through it and look at everything. But from what we've seen, obviously, you guys did a tremendous job, and we're incredibly appreciative. I love that you added some of the photos I had online. I think that makes it extra meaningful. I love family photos and antique photos. Next to DNA, it's my favorite thing in genealogy. So thank you for going the extra mile and adding all of that. And we'll very much look forward to checking it out in more detail. But I guess you guys have to get an A+. I mean, we can't mark you off for anything, so.
I also want to give a shout out to Emma. She did a lot of your DNA confirmations on WikiTree, getting all your DNA stuff on there. So thank you, Emma.
I think I was supposed to get back to her, and I haven't because of our crazy week. So thank you, Emma. Sorry I didn't get back to you. We very much appreciate you doing that, and that's definitely an extra step, an extra bonus. So thank you.
And I'm sending you those fan charts. You should see those in your email.
Okay. Thank you.
Super great. So we did so good. All of our WikiTreeers, and like Mindy said, we had people who were on the team and not on the team working on it. So it was fabulous.
I like Karen's point. It's nice to have a tree that I can share that isn't behind a paywall. Because a lot of times people ask me for a link to my tree, and I have the public tree on Ancestry, and you can get to it, but it's complicated for people who don't have an account. So this is a great alternative to that, and I'll use this going forward. Thanks for that.
Woo! So I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, CeCe, any questions for CeCe before we kind of move over to our next week's star, Jonny.
It'll be fun, Jonny.
Very cool. I'm excited. Yeah, sounds fun.
Good.
No, we're all excited too. I know people are ready to start working on your tree, Jonny.
Quite cool. What an honor. I mean, as CeCe says, it is a great honor, isn't it, to have other people, doing stuff that you'd love to actually be doing, but you can't always do. So that's brilliant.
So, Jonny, do you want to give us a little intro about yourself real quick? Sure.
Well, I'm going to talk about my ancestry, right? Or do you want to know anything else?
Just about yourself, who you are, like what, we have some other questions for you, but just a quick intro of who you are.
My name is Jonny. I live in East London. That's where I am now, where it's 11:30 in the evening. And I am a genealogist and web developer. So I kind of reinvented myself with those two things combined, if you like, in the last few years. And I've made a website called DNApainter.com, which is used by some people who've taken DNA tests and some people who just like to mess around with trees as well. That's also a fun thing to do with it. And I have the great honor that enough people have used that I get to work on that all the time. So that's mostly what I do. that's about it, probably. I live with my partner and 2 kids over here. It's all good. I have to teach my kids during the day, but apart from that, everything is amazing.
I just want to add, I use DNA Painter every single day, and it makes my reports much more professional to have those statistics. So thank you so much.
I'm very pleased to hear that. Great. Are you a user of the shared Centimorgan tool, CeCe, or other things?
Yes, the probabilities are so helpful, because I always knew in my head what the most likely relationships were, but when you're writing a paper, a report, it's so good to have something to reference. So thank you.
It's nice to have it at your fingertips. Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, I'm really pleased that it's helpful to
it's
people.
Incredibly helpful.
Yeah,
thank you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that they love DNA Painter. I've used it. I know a lot of us have, and a lot of WikiTreeers use it as part of their DNA stuff. So.
Yeah. That was my hope, so I'm glad they do.
Mm-hmm. So we do have some questions for you, and then if anybody has questions in the chat for Jonny, if they want to ask, go ahead and put them in there, and we'll ask them. So I guess I can kick off the first question. So what got you interested in genealogy, Jonny? What kind of sparked that?
That's a good question. I was thinking about this earlier because I knew you'd ask me that. And I think that I was born as someone who could have been as fanatical about genealogy as I am now. It's just like no one ever mentioned it to me. So I was really into history, and in my local town, I was obsessed with the idea of the buildings that used to be there and they weren't there anymore. You know, the kind of stuff that's really analogous with family history, but it's not family history. And then I have a third cousin who's really, really, really into family history, and he looked it up and was like, hey, and wanted to be my best friend, and I obviously was quite open to it because I was interested. It's the kind of thing where sometimes we do that to people and they run away screaming and say, who's this crazy person? But I wasn't like that. I was quite welcoming, and I met this guy and we got on well. I think that was the first seed, but I didn't jump in immediately. Then my mother just came over one day and she just started talking about some family names, and I suddenly thought, wait a minute, I don't know anything about this at all. Why don't I know about this? And I don't think I went to bed that night. I just kept going, but unfortunately I'm Irish on one side, which means that there's a point when it has to stop because you hit those brick walls a little bit earlier. But yeah, I think honestly I could have been into it when you hear about people who did it as a school project when they were 7, 8, 9. That could have been me. It just never happened, which is fine. I mean, I've caught up on things since then. So I started about, I guess, 13, 14, 15 years ago now. So I've had a bit of time.
Okay. That's cool. We have. Do you want to ask him the next question, Mindy? About.
So, do you have a favorite ancestor back in the branches that you do know?
Yeah, I've probably got a few. I guess my favorite ones are the ones that have got unusual enough names that I can find information about them and be reasonably confident that it's them. Because my ancestry is predominantly Irish, where there's a very small pool of names, and English, where there's maybe a few more different names. I have my grandmother was a Jones, her grandmother was a Moore, and another one was an Allen. These are very common names, but then I've got a Hayington. So I've got this guy who's called Charles Francis Hayington, and Hayington is a little place up near Durham, I think, in England. So he's got a very distinctive name. There's hardly any of them left now. I think you guys have a sports person over there called Chris Hayington, and he always comes up in the searches. But it's not a common name. And he was an interesting guy. I think he was a tax inspector or something, but a lot of information was gathered and passed down because his son-in-law has this document which a cousin of my father's has, and it's just got an incredible amount of genealogical detail in this document, obviously written in the 1880s or something by this guy's son-in-law, and it's obviously been passed down via this guy, and it's just got incredible amount of detail about all these things where that information does not exist anywhere else except on this piece of paper that I happen to have seen photographed. And so that feels like the mantle is being passed down. I feel like he was into history. His son-in-law is into history. I'm into history. It's really cool. So I'm going to give you him. And I've also got an Irish second great-grandmother who my mother still has a quilt that she knitted and like a sampler that she embroidered. And she was born in 1800 and died in 1870. Her name was Rebecca Ray McWilliams. So she's another favorite of mine.
Write that down so we can.
She is in there. Yeah.
Do you have any interest, like, so some of the research that you've done, have you found any like very interesting, unique stories about any of your ancestors? Or maybe some black sheep who were maybe not so good?
You know what? People are reasonably good. Funny enough, when CeCe was saying she doesn't have many people in the military, I have surprisingly few people in the military, which I think is interesting because I'm kind of a bit of a hippie pacifist. So obviously, I would have been proud if I had people who served in the war. But in a weird way, I'm not surprised that I don't. I don't know. It's a strange one. But then, I mean, who's a good story? The two that I mentioned in a webinar I did recently that I kind of got me going. My mum had casually said to me, "Oh, we've got this ancestor who was a doctor, and there was something to do with the Queen or something." And it turns out that my fourth great grandmother's brother was the doctor in charge when Queen Victoria was born. So that's kind of interesting. And she knighted him later on. So that's a good one. Well, it's brilliant for me because it means I can research that Irish line, which otherwise would not be recorded, because this is a guy who was born in, say, 1760 or something. So that gives me this gateway that I wouldn't otherwise have. So that was fabulous. And the other one I go on about, I mean, she's related to me. She's not an ancestor of mine, but there's, in this same McWilliams family of County Armagh, County Tyrone, in the north of Ireland, some of them emigrated, and there was a son. There was a guy called John McWilliams who was Rebecca's brother, and he was married in a church just down the road from where I live in Hackney in London. And then he died, and he's buried. I conned my kids into walking past where his grave was. I said, "Oh, let's just go down here for a bit," and I made them go, and there was very little there, unfortunately. But anyway, his family emigrated to America, and one of them became a very famous actress and comedian. And if you search the newspaper, she's everywhere. This woman called Katie Putnam. And I'm always sad that she didn't quite live long enough to be on film, because it would have been lovely to see her moving. She was obviously a very talented woman. So that's a fun story. I'm always looking for more. Any more you guys can find would be amazing.
I'm sure we will find lots.
And Jonny, after listening to the fabulous things with CeCe, what do you hope to get out of this upcoming week?
Honestly, anything at all. I mean, from my perspective, I've spent maybe these 15 years going completely crazy at every possible brick wall, and I've had a few tumble down. I had a really good one last year with Scottish stuff. I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe because I haven't got quite as much time, I'm definitely much more lax than all you guys here in terms of properly sourcing it, properly recording it, and properly sharing it. So I can't help but come out of this better, because I know that you're all fastidious about that in a way that I'm going to give the excuse I haven't got time. Really, it's because I'm clearly not quite as committed and talented at it. But I obviously, if you broke through any brick walls, I would be delighted. But if you didn't break through any brick walls and just documented the tree really well so that it was there for others and opened up new connections, that would also be amazing.
Yeah, I know you're currently not connected to the global the global tree on WikiTree. So I know that's one of our goals is to connect you.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously I'm completely European based. A lot of Irish people in particular did go over to Canada and to the United States. But if you were to look at my DNA match list, for example, and whenever I hear a lot of people, commentators speaking who are US based, the experiences they're describing are not mine, because I just don't have that volume of close matches. I'm not as connected to everyone, but I am still connected, I'm sure.
Yeah, so. We would once we add more of your ancestors. I know Sarah's team is ready to go to start adding. I did have another question before other questions, if anybody else has. When did you first discover WikiTree?
I first discovered it probably at RootsTech in 2018, because that was when I first started to really connect with the community. I think probably from 2006 until 2015, I had a very, very hectic full-time job. And so genealogy for me was done with a notepad document on my computer very late at night, Googling whichever websites I could find. And obviously, because I'm not properly connected to the global tree, I wouldn't have come up. So yeah, I think I didn't really come across it until then. And then at that point, I met Mags and Chris and all kinds of people, and suddenly knew about it. So yeah, I think 2018 would have been the time.
Okay. So I put up what we currently have.
Okay. So did I do that?
WikiTree.
I guess I did.
We'll probably want to get. So I don't know, Sarah. Do you have any questions or anything you want to? Any questions for Jonny at this point?
Well, I do know that someone has asked, what would Jonny hope to learn, or where are the brick walls in Herman Perl and Rosa Benjamin's ancestry? And
Sure,
do you
okay.
have some vital records collected outside of ancestry?
So in terms of Herman Perl and Rosa Benjamin, it's quite interesting because I was able to develop those lines in quite a detailed way, because my grandfather's brother wrote this hilariously scandalous, gossipy letter to his sister in the late 1970s, which I have an Israeli cousin who translated this letter. And I say scandalous, he wasn't really talking about anyone, remotely living now, but he says these really sort of naughty things where he says, he married a fat woman from this place and because she had loads of money, and it's really kind of bitchy. But he mentions, for example, that the Benjamins had cousins with a specific name, and that name was Jakubowski. And so putting all that together, I was able to develop that tree sideways a great deal. And I was able to find out that Rosa Benjamin's grandfather wasn't, as my grandfather's brother said, some guy called Dolziger who'd been murdered in a forest. Instead, his name was Gertzlicker Benjamin. And I don't actually know how he died, but I don't have evidence that he was shot dead in a forest for being Jewish, which I think was alleged by my grandfather. He also alleged in this document that Herman Perl's grandfather was in fact the son of Jerome Bonaparte, the brother of Napoleon Bonaparte. And I disproved this with DNA. It's one of the first things I did with DNA, was I took a Y-DNA test because I found out that Napoleon's DNA had been sequenced. So if that story was true, I would have matched him, and I didn't. So that was fun. So beyond Herman, we've got, I think there are actually 3 generations, but the Isaac, the furthest back one, I haven't actually personally got any documentation for. There's some records on JRI Poland or Jewish Gen, which I guess maybe you have to be a premium kind of connector to Jewish Gen to get those, and I don't have them. And I'm not sure the exact provenance of that information, but I do have Isaac Perl and Ava Schlesinger, I think, as the parents of Samuel Perl, who was born in 1805. That was probably more information you wanted, sorry.
All information.
Very cool. I guess we have to add all of those other people you were talking about, Jonny.
Yeah, well, particularly on the English side, it does go back quite far, although inevitably it gets sketchy, doesn't it, the further you go back. And honestly, in 2014, 2015, when I first was going crazy about this stuff online and adding people to Tree, how fastidious was I? I don't know. I mean, I think I was reasonably good, but I probably didn't always document it. So you might see work I'd done and think, I think he's going out on a limb a little bit here. And then later on, it might prove to be kind of okay. It's just I didn't properly document it. So we will see.
Well, it'll be definitely properly documented now on WikiTree.
Very good.
Do you have, I don't know, because I know like CeCe and AJ, we got photos from them. Do you have photos that you have already scanned that we could upload into WikiTree, or you could?
I've got several on Ancestry, which you would be very welcome to upload. I don't have an enormous number more, unfortunately. I think for all my direct line, beyond grandparent level, I thought it was kind of inappropriate to put grandparent level in. It was just my personal take on it, but I put all of the people from great grandparent level back that I had, I think. So I think I even have a complete set of great grandparent pictures. Is that possible? I think I do. And you're very welcome to put them on WikiTree, certainly. Mm-hmm. And if you need me to email them to you, I can.
Well, Sarah will definitely stay in touch with you.
Sure.
Do you have anything else you want to ask? Or how does everybody participate in this challenge, Sarah? How does communicate participation or asking questions?
We have a T2G thread going. I believe it's been, Mindy, has that been opened up? I don't know. For everyone to talk about things, collaborate together, work on, like, let people know where they're working.
Did she froze.
She did.
Oh no.
I can pick up a little where she left off there. Johnny, I don't know how familiar you are with our site, but we have a forum and we've got a post out there.
Sure, I have seen it. Yep.
Okay, so people have claimed ancestors that they want to work on, and they're talking about that out there. We're also using Discord to have live conversation, and that's where a lot of our collaborations are going on. And I can tell you right now, I'm seeing messages pop up where they're taking notes from everything that you were talking about earlier.
Cool. And have people got access? I have got a tree that's actually on my site that is available to see without a paywall. That's got the direct line. Is that being made available to people?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting with England. There's quite a few areas where you can go back quite far. It's just how sturdy are those connections when you go back that far, when you're dealing with names like Cooper and Jones. It's a challenge.
Kind of like a Smith name, very common.
Yeah, funnily enough, I don't have any Smiths, but I've got 2 different sets of Joneses, which is a great pleasure.
So do I. I have 2 sets of both sides of my tree, Jones.
Yeah, all part of the fun.
And Matthews is also another common one.
So yeah, the Matthews line is truly mysterious, and I've got some hints. So you see, he's got this strange middle name. Obviously, it's a common name, and you can imagine that maybe his mother was called Brown, but she wasn't. So I found someone else from County Down, which is where his father was born, who's got a descendant called James Brown Matthews, or some John Brown Matthews or something. So I've got these tentative connections, but my ancestor, this guy, he was the only one who survived out of 5 siblings. All of the other ones died of tuberculosis. And one senses that not that many people survived in that family, so there just aren't really very much evidence that they ever existed, because obviously the records disappear in Ireland quite soon. So the Matthews line is a real challenge. Unfortunately, the last surviving Y line descendant on that line died the month after I didn't quite manage to meet him in Belfast. It's a bit shocker. So it may end up obscure, that one, but I'd love to take that line back further. I have this James's father, who was also a James, but beyond that, I just know that his father was a Hugh Matthews, who was a farmer, and that's all I know. And there was one finds when one's researching this stuff, if there's a wealthy person with a name and they get all the press, whenever you look in the news, it's all about the well-to-do Hugh Matthews who had the manor house and the daughters whose marriages were announced in the local paper. I'm pretty sure that was not my Hugh Matthews. My Hugh Matthews was someone who did not make very many dents in the public record, if you know what I mean. And he would almost certainly have died before 1864. So that's a tricky one. If you can do anything with that, I will be forever in your debt.
Hillary, so we have an England project on WikiTree, and Hillary says that the project member will be working on those English profiles.
Superb.
And I know we also have an Ireland project. Maybe we can get some people on those too.
That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Did we have? So then we were talking about the Discord. Was there any other? We also have a Google sheet. Is that correct? As well, we got everything organized.
Yes, we do. For people to go ahead and mark down which profile they're working on, so that we don't have 2 people working on the same one at once.
Yes, we have lots of ways that people are working together and keeping all your ancestors organized. So we can get
Very cool. So yeah, I guess the other thing to throw out there is that I noticed someone mentioned Scots-Irish in the comments, and obviously that is mostly what my Irish ancestry is. But the big mystery for a lot of us who've got Scots-Irish ancestry is how far back did the Scots come in? Did these people come over to Ulster in 1800 and start farming then? Or are they earlier plantation people? how does one actually get back to Scotland? I've got these tantalizing DNA links, but I don't know if those links are to fourth or fifth cousins or eighth cousins, because they're not in that zone where I can really tell. So I've still only got one branch that really does go back to Scotland, because I've got one second great grandmother who's definitely born there, and I've managed to connect her up, but that's it. So that's a challenge.
Good. So I also opened up our Google sheet where all of the team members who are working on your tree have marked what they're going to work on. And are people already working away?
I'm sure they
show
are.
the GTD post that you can follow along with during the week.
That's cool.
Yeah. Since you are a WikiTree member, you can also, comment on stuff. Or I'm sure also Sarah will, or if we have questions, can we get in touch with you if they have any questions specifically?
Of course.
Okay.
I've never knowingly turned down a conversation about my family history.
Did you have any questions for us, Jonny? Or do we have any other questions for Jonny?
I think I'm all good. If anyone wants any information from me, I will provide it, obviously. And thank you very much, everyone, in advance, if I don't get the chance to say that.
You're welcome. And thank you for coming on. And thank you, CeCe, for coming on again if you're still listening. Do we have any...
We're still here. Had to get a snack.
I will be eating something after this, definitely.
Growing boy,
Mm.
It was really good to meet you, Jonny.
Sarah, Mindy, or Azure, was there anything you wanted to add before we head off? I don't see any other questions in the chat.
I think we pretty much covered it.
I think we're good.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure people are already working on the tree, and we're gonna get you connected. And next week we will show everything we have found on your tree.
Exciting times.
Yes. And I think maybe Emma will, because I know Emma was working on the DNA stuff for CeCe. Maybe she can work on your DNA stuff as well, Jonny. She can get all those DNA confirmation links up there. I'm sure she loves to do that. And yeah, I feel like that is all. And we will head off. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you, everyone, for watching. This is such a great time. I love doing these. And I appreciate all of you. So the next one is Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If anybody wants to watch, we'll do an update. Goodbye, everyone.